Hello, this is a video teardown of the Ion iCade core. I'm recording this as a video response to YouTube user NovaMaster0, who requested a video teardown of this. As you can see, this is already partially torn down. I've got one of the buttons removed here. This is just actually sunken into the unit just because I want to show a close-up of the workings of the button here in a minute. Inside is actually the Bluetooth module, and I've tore this out. Excuse me. This is the brains of the iCade core. It's got a Bluetooth module. All these wires here connect to the controls of it, and because I wanted to use this iCade core to connect to a Raspberry Pi to the GPIO pins, I tore this out. It's completely unnecessary for my purposes. So I'm just going to set that aside. Just keep in mind where that's supposed to go, connected to all the controls. So the iCade core, designed to sit in the iPad right here in the center. It doesn't actually charge the iPad at all or connect to it in any means at all. However, there is a slot right down here in the middle, so if you wanted to connect your iPad power charger right through there, you could actually charge your iPad while it's sitting on the iCade. Here's a two AA battery compartment, and because I'm running everything off of the Pi, in my case, I don't even need AA battery, so I've disconnected the wires from that. The joystick is actually pretty neat. The red ball on top just screws off. There you have it. This white disc comes right off as well. And there are 4 screws around the joystick post that hold the joystick into place. So if you remove these 4 screws, it'll come right out. It'll just sink right off the face of the iCade. I'm not actually going to do that, but I will show you the underside of the joystick here in just a second. Why don't we go ahead? Well, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Taking a look at the back, there are 6 screws that need to be removed. I've already removed them. A couple of these screws, I don't remember if it was 2 or 3 of them, definitely one of them there and one of them there, were Torx screws. They're the special star bit screws, and I think they're Torx size T8, possibly T9, but they've got those little pegs that stick up in the middle of the screw opening, so a regular Torx screwdriver won't work because my Torx screwdrivers don't have the opening in the middle to go around that peg. So what I used instead is I took my Dremel and I cut a groove right in the middle of the screw, so then that way I could just use a regular flathead screwdriver and then get the screw out that way. Alright, let's go ahead and open it up. Everything right now is actually connected to the top portion of it. So if I had everything connected here, the Bluetooth module would be sitting up here with everything connected. Here's the battery port, or the battery bay, and I've got the wires disconnected from that because, as I mentioned, I don't need batteries when I'm running off the Pi. I'm using just a regular 5-volt micro USB cell phone charger to charge my Raspberry Pi, or to run my Raspberry Pi. So no batteries necessary. Okay, let's get rid of that part. Bluetooth module, don't need that. Let me get that out of the way. Here's my Raspberry Pi. I didn't do anything fancy with that. I just had it for the time being, since this was more or less just a test project. I just had that sitting inside loosely. So, probably should have wrapped it in electrical tape so it didn't make contact with anything, but didn't have any problems there. Here's the bottom of the joystick. It uses microswitches for all 4 directions, and it's actually an 8-position joystick. So I've got up, down, left, and right, and because the little opening here is squarish, I can go into the corner for the other 4 positions for an 8-position joystick. Now, originally, none of these grounds on the joystick were connected, so they've all got individual grounds, but for my purposes I wanted them all connected for just easier wiring, so I just took regular Radio Shack wire and connected the grounds to each other, and then those are going to the Pi. All of these buttons have a nice clicky feel, and I've actually disconnected one of them. Well, I removed it from the opening, but it's still actually connected. So what it is here is a push button with a spring inside connected to a little micro switch here. So I can actually disassemble this a little bit further. So here we have the micro switch. Fortunately, all of these buttons, the grounds on all of these buttons are connected, so I could just take the ground from one of these and connect it to the Pi, instead of having to take 8 individual grounds and run them to the Pi. So yes, these are, you can swap these out for other switches if you'd like. If you just like regular tacked buttons, you can do that. Or if you wanted to buy different arcade switches, you could do that as well. And these are actually pretty tall. So I wish I had gotten a ruler to show you, but these are from the top of the button down to the bottom of the grooves. That's about 1 1/4 inch. These disassemble just a little bit further if you wanted to take out the top button. There's the spring, give it a nice springy feel. Just put it back into place. I'll worry about that later. And then removing it from the casing of the iCade is pretty simple, because these are all held into place by these plastic nuts, which can just be easily removed by hand. Or if you needed a little bit more torque, you could use a pair of pliers, but use them gently, because these are just plastic and they could be cracked or broken pretty easily. So that is the teardown of the Ion iCade core. If you have any questions, Nova Master Zero, or anybody else who happens to be watching this video, please feel free to ask and I'd be happy to answer them for you. Thanks again for watching.